We've talked about the brand. We've talked about product life cycle and the importance of it. And along with that, there's certainly competition. And I think, is probably bigger today than it ever has been. And it's just going to absolutely grow in a massive, massive way. What are you doing to ward off competitors or look-alike products?
One of the best things that any company can do is, before you have an AI strategy, you need to have a data strategy. You need to be providing some sort of unique value to customers, whether it's in the form of data, whether it's in the form of workflows. So before this AI hype even started, we were a SaaS product. We were doing all the basics right, building out the dashboard, the platform, the payments, the workflows, the integrations. And I think a lot of companies that are coming in today think they can skip all that hard stuff and then build a wrapper. That could be a hook. It's great for your MVP. It's great for your prototype, like I talked about earlier, but you will eventually have to build a proper SaaS product. And in our case, we had all of the foundation ready. And for us to adopt and incorporate this generative AI stuff was a lot easier. So for a company that's competing with an enterprise that's slow to adopt AI, they have a better chance.
Right.
But if you're competing with another startup that's fully geared, fully tuned in, that has the distribution channels, it's much harder. So I feel like, and I've talked to folks that tried to do what we did and then ended up shutting down and saying this was too difficult, because we've seen about like 7 or 8 companies come up and go, some that were much further along than us, or went up really quickly, raised a lot of money, and then kind of went kaboom. So what I found through a lot of those things is it is continuously innovating, continuously working. But they said that, hey, it's much easier for me to go compete with the big tech giants of the world who are going to move slower than it is to compete with you. Because we look at it, everyone's using like an AI note taker, and the default company that I think about is Fireflies. So we actually ended up buying AInotetaker.com recently because everyone just...
I just read an article about you doing that. It's brilliant.
Yeah,
and that's another, I mean, it's another form of marketing as well, and positioning.
Yeah. It's the thing about when you think about Google, you think about search, or you think about Facebook, you think about social media. And so for Fireflies, people think AI note taker, and there's so many other people trying to compete for that word. But owning that brand, that market share definitely helps.
Yeah.
So we have seen some potential upstarts. What they do was, okay, well, I can't compete with Fireflies on the overall platform, so I'm going to go and build like a niche AI note taker for recruiting, or for a specific thing like for consulting. And what they quickly realize is that, oh, I don't have the same distribution effects. I don't have the same virality. I have to do a traditional sales motion. So there's companies that can be spun up. There's always I think space in an ecosystem. Like you think about Salesforce, but then after that you had HubSpot, you had Pipedrive, you had Zoho, you had
a million others,
Freshworks, who built billion-dollar businesses. So there's always space in a market. I think competition is a sign that there is great customer demand, and you shouldn't shy away from it. In our case, regardless of competition, what we think about is how can we serve the most number of customers in the most effective way and provide value? Because our whole goal is we want to democratize AI. We want to bring AI and give everyone their own chief of staff, and that should be Fireflies. So we're going on that journey. And yes, you'll see competitors and upstarts along the way. But doing things that don't scale is great in the early days. I love the Paul Graham YC advice, but to win a market, you have to do things that scale. And so over time, you have to figure out how can you be in 100 places at once. There's also risk of distraction, but yes, it's something that if you want to have a market dominant strategy, anywhere you go, you're going to see Fireflies. Any industry, any sector you go to, you're going to see Fireflies. So that's how we plan to compete.